Okay, ladies and gentlemen, this video is on graphing quadratics, standard and intercept forms. That's a new concept or equation, that we're going to be using next week. Okay, so here we go. Here is a typical standard quadratic equation, right? Follow the purple. See how it's in the standard ax squared plus bx plus c form, right? That's what we mean by standard form. Okay? So, we did this all last week, but just as a quick review, first thing we always do is what? We make a table. Other teachers will go different routes and have cool strategies, but guys, get very good at making tables. So, step 1, make a table. Step 2, we need the essential numbers. We don't want to put in any number we want, right? We want the numbers that work well for us. So how do we do that? Well, to find the vertex, remember, the vertex is the center of our quadratic. To find the vertex, we use negative b over 2a, right? Negative b over 2a. Okay, well, knowing that, let's see here, I'll put gold and I'll put it in the top here. I'm going to go negative of negative 4. Negative of negative 4 over 2 times negative 1. Now keep in mind, if you look at the standard equation, remember the coefficient of x is your b, and the coefficient of x squared right there is your a. That negative, of course, means negative 1. So doing the math, we'll get positive 4 over negative 2. And what's 4 divided by negative 2? 4 divided by negative 2 is negative 2. And notice I'm going to put that right in the middle of my table, because that's where the vertex is going to be. And then I'm just going to pick some points to the left and right of it. So I'm going to do negative 3, negative 4, negative 1, 0. Now, guys, notice that we didn't use just 0, 1, 2, or whatever. Our graph is going to be centered at negative 2, because that's where the vertex is. And now that I have a nice table, also notice my numbers are in order, right? It's like counting down a number line. Negative 4, negative 3, negative 2, negative 1, 0. Okay, let's get to the business here. So, we could just plug them in the equation. That's old school, as I like to call it. But hopefully you're now pretty familiar with synthetic. So what I'm going to do is put down negative 1, negative 4, negative 2, right? And let's start by putting in negative 4. And so how does it work again? I bring down the negative 1, right? Then I multiply here. Negative 4 times negative 1 is positive 4. And then 4 minus 4 is 0. And then I multiply again. Negative 4 times 0 is 0. So notice I get a negative 2 as a result. So what does that mean? I know in my graph negative 4 is negative 2. But if we understand symmetry, we know 0 is also negative 2. And of course you can just plug in 0, but it will work. Alright? So now notice we just need 3 more points. So go ahead and pause the video if you need to copy down this work, because I need more space here, okay, guys? So as you can see, I'm erasing here. And so let's keep finishing our table. And so here we go. I'm going to do negative 1, negative 4. By the way, these are, of course, the ABCs of our quadratic equation. And let's try negative 3. So here we go. Bring down the negative 1. Multiply with our negative 3 input. That's positive 3. 3 minus 4 is negative 1. Negative 1 times 3, of course, is 3. And negative 2 with 3 is positive 1. So now I know this is 1. And negative 1 has to be 1 as well if we understand symmetry. That's how it works. Now all we have left is a vertex. So I'm just going to copy down my A, B, and C's. And this time I'm going to input -2. So I bring down my -1. I multiply here. -2 with -1 is +2. 2 minus 4 is -2. I multiply again. -2 times -2 is 4. 4 minus 2 is 2. So now I know my vertex, guys, is -2, 2. So let's just graph it and complete our graph. -4 is supposed to be -2, right? So right there. -3 is supposed to be 1, right there, right? -2 is supposed to be +2, right there. And -1 is 1. See how the points are side by side there? That's symmetry. And of course 0 is -2. And so if we complete our curve here carefully, that right there, guys, is our parabola, our quadratic. By the way, why is it opening down? That's right, it's opening down because of the negative in front of the x squared right there, right? That negative right in front of the x squared, guys, tells us that the graph will be opening down. Okay, and there's other things that we'll discuss and learn later on in the next couple of weeks. But anyways, please pause the video. Okay, so this is going to be a little bit longer than normal video, but I'll try to cut it as short as I can, okay, guys, without talking too much about it. But notice this one is a different form. This is called intercept form, guys. This is one of the reasons why you definitely want to learn factoring so you get familiar with that format. Okay? But anyways, long story short, I'm going to start out the same way. I'm going to make a table. Okay, I'm making a table. And I need the right numbers in my table, right? Okay, so what do I do? Because if it's an intercept form, now I could go ahead and multiply it and make it standard form, but that frankly is a waste of time. Okay? So here's basically something you'll learn hopefully very quickly is follow the red now. Ask yourself, what minus 4, see that x minus 4? So what number could I put in there to make it 0? What minus 4 is 0? Well, of course, 4 minus 4 is 0, right? 4 minus 4 is 0. Do the same thing with x minus 2. What minus 2 is 0? Well, of course, 2 minus 2 is 0, right? Guess what? We just found the intercepts, guys. We found the x-intercepts. The x-intercepts of our graph. That's where the graph is going to cross the x-axis. Okay? We also just found 2 very good points in our table. So to keep things a little bit shorter and straight to the point, I'm going to put down 2 in my table. Okay? Now I'm leaving a little space above here. Okay? Notice that? In case I want to add an extra number or 2. And I'm just going to count to my other intercepts. So I'm going to go 2, 3, 4. And again, follow the green. Did we not already figure out 2 and 4 gives us 0? If you plug in 2 or 4, you will get 0 in that product, right? So notice we already have 3 of our points. So all we're going to do, and this is a rule of thumb, if I didn't emphasize enough in class, guys, always have at least 5 good points to graph a quadratic. 5. We have 3, so let's just keep counting. That's a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay? Now don't forget we have symmetry as well. Because believe it or not, we're getting close to being done. And what you're going to find out, guys, intercept form most of the time, you're actually going to like better than standard form, as you'll find out. So let's plug in the 1 now. Again, before I start, does everybody agree and understand how I found all the points in my table? If not, we have to discuss that in class. But again, follow the purple here. Make sure all your numbers go in order, right? That's a very, very good habit to have. Make sure they always go in order. So that, notice how I got it 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Okay? So now, let's plug in the 1. And notice, guys, y is going to equal 1 minus 4 times 1 minus 2. Hopefully you realize, oh, this is easy. Because 1 minus 4 is -3. 1 minus 2 is -1. And what's -3 times -1? positive 3. See how easy intercept can be? Now, don't we have symmetry here, guys? So if 1 is 3, guess what 5 is down here? 5 is also 3. So notice all I need is one more point right here in the middle. And guess what? That's the vertex, isn't it? That's the vertex. So here we go again. If I know y equals, and I plug in 3, I'm going to get 3 minus 4 and 3 minus 2. And of course 3 minus 4 is negative 1. 3 minus 2 is 1. What's negative 1 times 1? Well, that's negative 1. We are on our way. So let's plot our points. Let's plot our points. I'll use purple here. Negative 1, or sorry, 1 is supposed to be 3. Right there. 2 is supposed to be 0. 3 is our vertex at negative 1. 4 is at 0. And 5 is at 3. And if we connect our dots here, you can see there is our parabola, guys. So intercept form is not so bad after all, is it? But we will be practicing this definitely all week, okay? So until the next time I see you guys, pause the video right now to get the information down. But until the next time I see you, bye.